Hey, what's up guys? We got a new weapon update. There's a new weapon for male Corrin, Clair, and Camilla. Additionally, there's a hidden update for Lucina, Mass Lucina, and Chrom. For this video, I'm going to explain how each of their new weapons work, and I'll be sharing some of my simple build ideas as well. Let's start off with Corrin. So his original Yado basically had a Darting Blow 2 effect. When refined, Yado grants +2 in attack, speed, defense, and resistance passively. So think of it like Fury 2 without the self-damage penalty. It doesn't seem like much, but it's actually pretty nice for him. As we know, for the most part, Corrin has balanced stats, so this weapon will make him slightly stronger in each area. Using his base stats, his HP increases to 45, attack goes from 48 to 50, speed 34, defense 30, and resistance 26. Those stats are pretty solid, but I'll still recommend a plus speed Corrin. Plus speed Corrin has 37 HP, and that will give him more reliable doubles. Anyways, the second effect says if unit is within 2 spaces of support partner, grants attack, speed, defense, and resistance +4 to that ally during combat. Alright, so this part of the effect refers to the ally support mechanic. Whoever you ally support Corrin with will get 4 points in every stat besides HP as long as they are within 2 spaces of each other. Now keep in mind that ally support also grants bonus stats, and the boost is different for each support rank. Here's a chart for that if you are curious. So let's say that Corrin is H-ranked ally support with Sharina. If they are adjacent to one another, then Sharina is granted +6 in attack, speed, defense, and resistance. If they are one space from one another, then Sharina is granted +5 in those stats instead of 6. That's a lot of stats, and remember that this is a combat buff, so it can still be further increased by other combat buffing skills like drive or spurs, and from display buffs which are honed, fortified, and tactics. Also, fun fact, the support buff from the weapon stacks with each other. So if you have 3 male Corrins with refined Yados, and I'll use Sharina as the ally support example again, then Sharina gets the buff from all 3 of those Yados. Just so we're clear, the buff from ally support does not stack, but the support effect from refined Yado does. Now, you don't have to go with the effect refinement. You still have the option to go with any of the cheaper stat boosting ones, and going plus speed refinement is not a bad choice if you really don't care about the whole ally support effect. As for builds, if you already have a Corrin with the standard Refinery desperation set, then I would just refine his weapon with the speed refinement and slide in a speed +3 sacred seal. If he's plus speed IVs, then you can take off the speed seal for something else. Let's say you want to go with the effect refinement. There's a lot of possibilities for builds, but I would toy around with bond and drive skills. The whole concept is about pairing up Corrin with somebody and having them close to one another, so might as well stick to the theme. His weapon isn't only player phase anymore, so he can be built for both phases. I think bond skills are easier to use on the enemy phase, so I would go with a quicker post set, but that's just me. C slot and seal slot is up to you. It depends on your team comp and personal preference. Next up is Clair. Her new weapon is Rompea. The effect is exactly the same as Sheeta's Wing Sword, so it's basically Wing Spear, I guess, which is kind of funny. Clair got quote-unquote Wing Spear before Sheeta did. Anyways, nothing new here, right? It has Flashing Blade and effectiveness against armored and cavalry foes. Both of those effects are great for Clair. She has low attack, so as long as she's only used for killing armored and cavalry foes, she'll get that effectiveness damage boost, and you can also think of special cooldown reduction skills as another source of damage boost in a way as well. Even though Sheeta and Clair are basically carbon copies of each other stat-wise, but a different color, the problem with Clair is that she faces more slot competition than Sheeta does. What I mean by that is that there's only 4 red flowers in the game at the moment. There's Sheeta, Alencia, New Year's Camilla, and Paula. 2 of the 3 you can say are better than Sheeta, but they're 5-star exclusive. If we take a look at blue flowers, there's Cordelia, Hinoka, S, Tana, Shigure, Valter I guess, Katria, and Shauna is decent as well. There's a bunch of options to choose from, and the top blue flowers with optimal builds can already take out armored and cavalry units with their optimal set, so that's what I mean by slot competition. Don't get me wrong though, I don't want to take anything away from Clair and her weapon. It's a great upgrade for her, and it's exactly what she needs. As for builds, I would build her exactly the same as Sheeta: reposition, iceberg, Fury or Swift Sparrow, desperation, flexible C slot, and defense ploy seal. Next is Camilla and her axe. If unit is within 2 spaces of a cavalry or flying ally, grants attack speed +4 during combat. Second effect says grants attack speed +3 to cavalry and flying allies within 2 spaces during combat. The effect is pretty straightforward. Cavalry Flower mixed emblem teams are kind of wonky because the guidance seal only works for infantry and armored allies, so that part of the effect is weird, but I mean there's always a possibility of a Flower Cavalry support skill being released later down the road. However, this weapon is great for a pure flower emblem team. You can stack this weapon effect with gold flowers and grant flower allies around you for +7 attack and +7 speed. I would highly recommend that you only go for this refinement if you are planning on putting Camilla on a flower team. Not only would flower allies love the offensive stat buffs from this weapon, but Camilla herself will love to receive stat boosts from gold and ward flower buffs as well. As for builds, I still like this build for Camilla. This is similar to what I plan to go on mine before the refinement, but with Slaying Axe instead. Honestly, Slaying Axe is arguably better because she'll get that guaranteed iceberg proc on the second hit. With Camilla's axe, she won't be able to proc iceberg unless she gets doubled. However, she does get extra attack from her weapon, therefore she isn't as special reliant as the Slaying Axe version. Alright, I'm going to be brief on this one. So Lucina, Mass Lucina, and Chrom have access to Sealed Falchion now. The Sealed Falchion was a weapon that was introduced by Cavalry Chrom, and we all kind of assumed that this update was going to be released someday. We just didn't know when. It has an extremely powerful effect at start of combat. If unit's HP is less than 100%, grants attack speed, defense, resistance +5 during combat. That's just insanely powerful, and it's so easy to build around this weapon because Fury 3 is such a great budget skill to go with this weapon. Keep in mind that Sealed Falchion loses the renewal effect, so the unit loses longevity and the Falchion medic build becomes less viable. The question that most of you guys are probably wondering is which upgrade is better for Lucina and Chrom. In my opinion, Lucina is amazing with either upgrade. Spectrum Bond Refine opens up more options for her and is a lot more fun to build around, but it's more expensive. With Sealed Falchion, Lucina doesn't need to rely on positioning, so she becomes more independent. It's also a lot cheaper to build around, not only skill wise, but it also costs less than Divine Dew. As for Chrom, he should just stick with the Spectrum Bond upgrade. Bonds are better used on the enemy phase, and Chrom definitely has the stats to fit that playstyle. Alright, so the question is, are these upgrades worth the Divine Dew? Remember that this is just my personal opinion, but I think Korrin's weapon is worth the upgrade. If you pair up Korrin with a blue melee unit with an optimal self-sustaining build, then that blue unit and Korrin is like all you need in order to sweep teams. Korrin himself doesn't need an extreme stat boosting effect because the blue ally can sweep everything for him. For example, if I paired up Korrin with my Naui, then my Naui can be used to take out blues, colorless, and reds, while Korrin is just there to take out greens. Clair's weapon, I'm going to say no for the reason I mentioned earlier. I think you may as well invest in one of the many stronger blue flowers out there that can already take out armored and cavalry units without the effectiveness damage boost. But I mean, if you like Clair, then it's worth it, of course. I'm like half-half with Camilla. I do think it's worth it if you put her on a flower team, but I don't think it's worth it on a mixed emblem team. Lastly is Sealed Falchion. I think it's worth it on Lucina and Mass Lucina, but I do not think it's worth it on Chrom. And that's going to be it for this video. What do you guys think about this update? Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.